Se está colando algo.
El mixer no puedo meter un ruido así.
When? Oh. So, are we live? Okay. Está colando algo. Ay, señor. Okay, so in November 2022, OpenAI released what we are calling ChatGPT. And then the world was never again the same. So how can we take advantage of this ChatGPT for our robotics development and businesses? What are the advantages of using it and disadvantages also? What are the drawbacks? Let's discuss this on the second episode of the Robotics Insider podcast. Okay, so so that's the point I would like to talk today is what is ChatGPT, why and how it is related to robotics, how can the robotics industry make use of it for better, and which drawbacks for robotics and roboticists the usage of ChatGPT. Hello, Alberto. How are you doing today?
Hello, I'm great. Excited for a new episode of this podcast.
The second one, right? Yeah. What about you, Rodrigo?
Same. Excited to talk about ChatGPT with you guys.
Yes, everybody's excited about this. And we even received some messages from, what's the, Alexander Rosler, sorry. Yes, and probably he is there on the chat. So for all the audience there, remember that you can put your questions during this discussion on the chat that we have on the video, and also put your opinion, and then we will be checking it regularly and use it. So say it here on the camera, discuss with you, and so on. So it's not a one direction only podcast, but also we want to know your opinion and that you participate also in the podcast. Great. Then the first question, just to clarify, okay, because here we have different types of audiences. So we would need to understand what is ChatGPT. So Alberto, can you tell us what is ChatGPT?
Yeah, so let's try to explain it in simple terms. So basically, I would say that ChatGPT is an artificial intelligence-based chatbot that basically it's trained to maintain conversations, human-like conversations. So he can understand your questions and he can generate answers like a human would do.
Okay, but so ChatGPT is an application that has been created like that from zero?
Yeah, so ChatGPT is actually a product, we could call it, which is based on top of GPT-3.
Okay. So ChatGPT will be then like a layer on top of GPT-3.
Exactly. Yeah.
ChatGPT and GPT-3, what is this?
Yeah, that's the question I was waiting for.
Okay.
Yeah, so GPT basically is a language model. Which has been developed by OpenAI, by the way. And what is a language model? Well, basically it's a way of processing text and understanding this text.
Okay. So give me an example.
An example is ChatGPT.
Okay, that's a way of using GPT-3 in order to create a chatbot.
Yeah, exactly.
So what then GPT-3 is a language model, and then what is a language model then?
What is a language model?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a way of processing text and understanding what the text means.
Okay, and then producing an output.
Yeah, exactly.
That fits with
that makes sense.
With the input text.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so this is based on a technology which is that is called the generative pre-trained transformers. So
This is the GPT, yeah.
it's a deep learning technology which is beneath all this. So they create those models of the language using a deep learning model based on transformers, which is one way of creating neural network, deep neural networks. And then they train this transformer with natural language text.
Yeah, so on top of this GPT language model, they also applied some reinforcement learning and other techniques in order to improve its abilities to understand the text and to generate answers, generate outputs.
Okay, so we have this GPT-3 model. Then this is a natural language processing system. And then when it gets an input, it's able to produce an output in language also, which makes sense, right? Then ChatGPT will be then the layer that allows people to
Interact with
exactly. So send the questions and receive the outputs, right? Okay.
Right.
Okay, and then so the power of ChatGPT is not only for is not able only to talk about languages, human languages, but also about computer languages. So it has been also trained to understand and create and generate computer languages like Python, CPP, and C++, and others, JavaScript, and so on. Then, does that mean that they are going to take ChatGPT tools like these are going to take the jobs of the developers of the world? What do you think, Rodrigo?
That for me? Yeah. So, hey guys, how you doing? I think the answer to that is a little bit. So no, basically, it's not like it's gonna be replacing all the developers, and you could say the same thing for every profession, you know, because you can use this as a tool, but it's not going to, you know, create the ideas for, like, that's what I'm trying to say. For example, you can ask it to create some code, right? But it might not do it right. It might not create it in the way you want it. It might not fit in the correct way if it's a complex code. So for now, no. Until you keep starting to add things to these things, right? So the analogy that I can think about is like, so ChatGPT is just another way of using, for example, Google, right? Because it gives you information that you can then work on that. And before that, there were libraries and things. You can go to a library, pick up a book and open it, and it'd be the same thing. So I do not think the ChatGPT at its current state could replace a developer.
And then what would be the usage, the advantage for the developer?
Well, you can use it as a tool, like I said, for commenting your code, finding bugs, all these different things that can help you, like any other tool that you're using.
Okay, and
which is really, really helpful.
Yes, yes, it is exactly, because in order to create code, so to create a development project, you need to understand what you are looking for, what is the goal, what you are wanting to achieve, but also you need to know how to structure which are the different parts and the interaction between them. So ChatGPT at present, it cannot do that. So you cannot tell him, okay, create me an application for an Excel word that that can keep the accounting of my company, for example. You cannot do that. But you can tell ChatGPT to write me a routine that implements this sorting algorithm, for example. That's possible. That's possible. And it can code it with errors also.
Right. And I think it's also important to think about things like code efficiency, how is it going to know which is the most efficient? For example, I use it sometimes. I use this ChatGPT, and I was doing make this piece of code in Python for, evaluating like he was looking at an array, and in my mind, I was like, I'm just gonna use this library called NumPy. Everyone knows that, and you can just avoid using for loops in Python, and it spits out like a really complicated for loop that, of course it'll work, but it's just, for me personally, it's a lot easier to use another method that's just gonna be like 2 lines instead of like a complicated thing. So I think that relates to how efficient the thing that's gonna spit out is gonna be, right? And
Well, there is an option for ChatGPT that you can ask him to improve your code.
improve it. Oh, okay, yeah.
So I don't know if you take this code that he has generated for you and you consider very complicated. Maybe you can tell it, okay, so
Make it
refine
more
it,
efficient.
make it better, make it shorter, for example. I have seen some examples about that on internet. I don't know if that would apply to your example, to your specific code. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that would be very helpful because that is something that personally, me as a developer, and I am constantly working with ROS development and so on. So I faced many cases where I am creating some kind of complex node, complex program, and then it's not working. So you are testing and you are adding variables, adding functions. Then you comment them out because you are not using them anymore. And at the end, you end up with a code that is working, but it's a complete mess.
Mess,
You know, and then you have to clean it, and so that's a way in which maybe you can send that code to ChatGPT, and it's going to clean it up for you.
Yeah,
and even improve some parts.
There's a VS Code extension called Prettier that does a little bit of that, but like indentation, things like that. It could be like that, but like on steroids or something.
Yes.
Like more. It's just a more powerful tool than that's what's already available.
Yeah, because that extension that you mentioned is just a kind of linting, right? That put in the proper indentations, the variables.
Or if you miss a semicolon, it just adds it for you. Little things like that, but like it's not creating code. Yeah.
Well, one of the what you mentioned, Alberto, about cleaning the code, that's a typical example in companies because we are in a hurry. And then we have to deliver quick, and then we don't have the time. You test this, doesn't work, and then on the nick of time, you achieve it. And then all the dirty things that you have around there remain there. So maybe it's a good idea to use it, ChatGPT, to go and tell it, clean this, because we know it works. So clean it so it keeps working, but we have to be careful with that, because that ChatGPT also generates wrong code and wrong answers, but it says like it is correct, so it doesn't know.
Yeah.
So we have to be careful with that, and so even if the ChatGPT returns some code, it doesn't mean that this code is correct. So, and that goes to the first question that I mentioned about is going to replace our jobs? No, not so far. Okay, not yet. Let me talk about some questions, some comments that we have here on the chat. And here we have Jean Gamble that says, ChatGPT has become my new Stack Overflow.
Exactly. Yeah. It's all the memes, that you can see, like the one that I always see, how non-coders think I code, and you're like, it's like a black screen and you're going super quick and everything. And how I really code, and you're just going to Stack Overflow and looking at how they answer, and like, oh, well, maybe I can do this, and I just like copy it. Oh, it doesn't work, then I'm gonna go try that again. Yes, I think that's a great analogy. It's like a new Stack Overflow.
Yeah. So maybe ChatGPT is going to bring down to business Stack Overflow before than Google. Yes, everybody was mentioning about this possible bringing down Google's business, and actually Google entered into panic mode once.
Well, but Stack Overflow has that comment section, which I think it's one of the most helpful things. because you can see all the people that have gone through that post, and has 5 different ways that one of them might be the one that you're looking for. So
Yes, that's right. That's right. It would be interesting to see how Stack Overflow reinvents itself in order to move forward. If there is somebody from Stack Overflow looking at this podcast right now, please tell us something on the comments. Okay, well, another comment. So here we have Blueberry. It says, in my opinion, in the realm of ROS, manipulator interface development, ChatGPT will definitely have an impact. And then, okay. So.
ROS manipulator interface development. I don't know what that is.
Yes, you should clarify better, Blueberry. And Shyam Ganatra. Oh, Shyam, hello. Nice to see you around here. And then he says, I feel ChatGPT will make ROS learning very fast and easy. Yes.
That's another way it can improve. Yeah. So it can. I mean, we were discussing right now that it's not going to substitute ROS developers or developers, but it's going to help developers.
Yeah.
That's for sure. In order to speed up their work, maybe provide a work which has more quality in less time, etc.
That's the main point for me, is less time writing things.
Efficiency.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not only for developers, but for learners, people who comes new to the world. It's definitely a very, very interesting tool, and you can use it for because it can also explain you pieces of code. And I have already tried that several times, and it's quite accurate, at least most of the times. And yeah, it can also help you to understand parts of a more complex code, so that you can end up understanding the whole thing. So it can also help you to find bugs.
Yes.
And
for me, that's the most interesting part for students, because students, as in our academy, in the construct, so like this. So so already, we teach people how to program robots, especially with ROS. And then sometimes we have those problems that the people, they create their programs and they don't work, the programs doesn't work, and then they don't know where is the problem. After they review, they follow the instructions, they check the lessons that we provide, but they cannot find it. And then they are desperate, they put the questions on the forum.
And we can't find it either, It
sometimes it takes a lot of time to us to find the
especially the silliest ones.
Yes.
Are the hardest one to find.
Misspelling or things like that.
A missing comma somewhere.
30 minutes, come on, compile again, or let's try again, until you figure out it was a silly mistake. ChatGPT, that's why.
So you can you can copy this code, put it inside the ChatGPT and say, oh, find the bug here. Okay, not always finds the bug, it's true, but sometimes it does, and then it's very helpful. And that is why we have introduced it in our academy recently, actually this week. It's available to everyone to use ChatGPT for finding bugs, explain the code, which is also very interesting, and then ChatGPT provides some comments on the different lines explaining. And the other one is improve this code also. Because sometimes your code works, and that's something that the students say, is, oh, my code worked. Why is the gradebot saying that is not correct? Yeah, because sometimes it does work for that example, but it's not the correct way of doing it. Because if you apply this to a real robot, maybe in that simulation with this stupid example of the exercise, then it works. But in reality, it will fail.
Tell me about it.
Yes.
So in robotics, you can always solve problems in many different ways.
Yeah.
Which doesn't mean that all ways are correct.
Correct, yeah. And also it doesn't mean that there is one single way of doing it. Okay,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
we are not saying that. Yes. Okay, so that's going into...
Yeah, I wanted just to add a small comment on this, that on this, how ChatGPT can help people who is learning and starting with ROS or with robotics development. So ChatGPT, of course, can fail, but it is more prompt to failing if he's dealing with complex code, if he has to explain complex code. And for learners, for beginners, usually they are going to be dealing with easy code.
Yeah.
I mean, and for that, ChatGPT has a higher chance of being able to find a bug or explain the
To
code.
be helpful.
Yeah.
Yes, to be helpful. But also we have to take care with his explanations. So even the students have to take care about what it says, because sometimes when it doesn't know what to say, so it just invents.
It's just putting. I think it's important to. Maybe I'm missing something, but the main idea is that this chat CP, what is it, CP3 or something?
GPT-3.
GPT-3. What it's doing is just putting words in front of another word, right? So it's just, for me, how I think about it, it's looking in the internet for everything that's available, and then it's just putting the most likely word to go next to it. So it really, like when we're saying, oh, ChatGPT understands, it's not like it's a robot. It's like, oh, I mean, I understand. It's like spitting things out that makes sense because of the information available. So
Yeah, it's like a giant table of probabilities.
Right.
It's a massive table that says which one is the next best move, like in chess. What based on what we have before, then what is the best next move? So then what happens? So what I wanted to say about that is that what happens is sometimes it says some stupid things. For example, I did an example, which is I typed to ChatGPT and said, "Oh, please explain me what this command is doing." And then it was ROS launch, warehouse gazebo to robots.launch. Okay, so ROS launch, name of the package, and name of the launch file, right? And then I just said this. I didn't provide any file, any code, and nothing. Just explain this command, what it does. And then he said, oh, yeah, this command, it's launching a gazebo simulation of a warehouse where there are two robots that are moving around and then finding some things to bring to the warehouse. And
which is not true.
well, it cannot know. I mean, because of the names of the packages and so on, it could be wherever it's put inside the launch file. Maybe in the launch file there is just, I don't know, a launcher controller, for example.
Or a script to start Netflix in your computer. You know, it could be
But
completely
it just
unrelated.
invent.
Or they're empty, even.
Or empty.
It could be empty, exactly. So in that case, he invented based on the words that are on the package. So, I mean, this is not a criticism to ChatGPT. It's just that we have to be aware of its limitations. It's just that. Let me see if there is any.
Yeah, so I saw a comment there from Stephen Carter, who was saying that he thinks that it can be helpful in different fields of robotics. But for instance, when you come to systems that have to consider safety, certificate by the EU and so on, yeah. So for all these kind of things, it's not ready, and it's always going to have to require of a supervision by a human, of course.
Yes, and I would like to say something about that, but later also, because using those systems in your product, it depends on your product. It can get you into trouble.
Right.
But
Yeah.
We'll talk later.
That's like an ethics issue, sort of, when you think about what safety things, you know. It reminds me of the trials that, for example, Tesla is having when there's a car accident and someone dies, and it's because of the computer. Like, who's to blame in that situation? You know, that's a whole different aspect of it, and I think that's why safety should definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't work in any safety-related things, but you know, it should be backed up by an actual person. You know, for now.
Yeah. Well, the main problem is that it invents things. So that can get you into trouble if you are in a business, because it can say some nasty things and okay. But Wait, let's continue. Let's see. Oh, I can see that here is Girish. Girish Kumar. Hello, Girish. Nice to see you around here. And let me see. And any other comment? Okay. So let me continue with some of the other things, other points I would like to touch in this podcast. So we have said, for example, about how can it help developers, some of the things that it can help developers. And one is to write code. Right? We said this, to write code, that's very typical. Actually, there is something similar for that, well, specific for that, which is called the Git autopilot, which is this system that is included in Git. You know that Git was acquired by Microsoft also. Mm-hmm. So they are plugging this Git autopilot into GPT directly, and then it's providing assistance when you are writing code. Mm-hmm. And it's a similar thing, but just for code writing.
Spell check for code.
Yes, for all activities. So that's right. It's like doing pair programming. You know, you have your colleague here that is telling you, oh yeah, so you can do this in this other way, or try to.
Yeah, try like that. That.
Then, so we have some suggestions by Alexander Rossler that he's been doing some experiments with ChatGPT and robotics. I don't know if Alexander is here on the chat because there was the possibility that he attended here and explain us his experiments on this, but it was not possible, and maybe he decided to attend on the chat. I cannot see him. But anyway, he explained to me directly about the things that he's been doing, and he's doing writing algorithms in code. So you explain, write this algorithm for me. The algorithm, I don't know, for path planning, A-star algorithm for path planning, or Driska algorithm, sorting algorithms, anything like that. Or write full ROS nodes. So you can tell, write me a ROS node that subscribes to the laser and then publishes on the common bell, something like that. So you get everything with the callbacks, the subscriptions, and all that. And also, for example, super cool is writing unit tests for a method. That's also a pain for all developers. We hate to write, well, at least that's my experience. I haven't found anybody that likes to write unit test code in people that is developing algorithms and solutions, okay? And the people of quality assurance, they do like, that's why they do that. But for the ones that we want to develop an application, then you are concentrated on making the robot do this. But then it has to be robust, your solution, so you have to write unit tests and many other types of tests. Mm-hmm. Then ChatGPT can help you on this.
Yeah, so even though it might not be able to create the final code, especially if it's a complex node, it can provide you with a template that then you can tune in much less time than if you would, because let's
start from zero.
Let's be honest. We as ROS developers, we don't code our programs from zero, so we always get templates from somewhere, from something we've done before, and then we adapt it, we change it to the new functionality. Uh-huh. So this is something that ChatGPT can also do for us. So it's going to generate a template with some basic things, publishers, subscribers, callbacks, whatever, and then you can go with that template and do the specific changes for your application.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Then some other things that here is not mentioned by Alexander, but somebody else around the internet, I found it. Some other people have used it to simplify, improve code, already mentioned, explain the code, put some code from one language to another.
Oh,
that's very cool.
Yeah, that's useful too.
Yes. So you provide the code in Python and you say, write in C++. Wow. So, well, I found that for C++ is not that good. That's the general opinion.
Well, because it's less to look at. You know, I bet the amount of Python code that it's checking in order to create your answer it's a way bigger pool in Python because of how widely used it is, maybe, than C++. And because C++ is just more complicated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot complicated. A lot more complicated. Yes. Okay, so those are for how ChatGPT can help developers. And then before going into more details, I would like to tell to all the audience that, yeah, we have to learn how to use ChatGPT or similar tools, Git, autopilot, or similar things in order to improve our efficiency writing code in terms of speed and also of better code. So I think that this is a must for everyone right now. I was watching one video of a famous YouTuber was saying, oh, you have to learn those AI tools so you will get an advantage of this, because the ones that learn this, they will be in advantage in front of the people that doesn't learn. Well, yeah, that was how it worked in the past, but now the changes are moving so fast across the whole globe, across everybody, so everybody knows about ChatGPT. There are thousands of videos about how to use it for programming, for helping you, so there is no advantage. It's a disadvantage if you don't learn how to use it. It is a disadvantage, but if you learn it, then you will be at the same level as the majority of people. So for my call here, what I want to share with the developers is that if you want to be here in the game, then you have to learn how to use ChatGPT and similar tools in order to improve your efficiency writing code.
Right, and it's not that hard, it's just ask it questions.
Yes, but sometimes it's tricky because you have to...
Yes, you have to find a way to ask the correct thing. Yeah, for sure.
Yes. Okay, then let's move to another topic, which is about how to use ChatGPT to make more intelligent robots. So the previous point, we were talking about how to use ChatGPT to help developers of robotics, how to make better code, how can it help us. But now, what I am interested is on, okay, so can we use this tool to make robots more intelligent, better robots that are useful for us in the society, not just in the industrial settings? So how can we, so is that possible, Alberto?
Well, it has some limitations for sure. So, I mean, for instance, one of the fields that comes to mind is the ones that involve human-robot interaction, yeah, where you have services robots that are in the, I don't know, in the reception of your offices and greet the people, and in that way, that would allow the robot to kind of be able to answer questions in a much more precise way.
More human way.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Yeah.
Because before, well, the robots at present of this kind is a little bit a disaster, right? Because they are not able to answer in the way with the questions that people is answering. Okay, so because the current robots, they are asking for a structure, a specific structure of the questions and a specific vocabulary. If you get out of there and you don't follow that structure, they get lost. But with ChatGPT, then that's possible because we have seen, right? It understands what we are asking.
However, there are some limitations.
In which sense?
ChatGPT understands text only.
Okay.
So it doesn't understand voice. Yeah? And how we would ideally interact with robots is through voice.
Yes, of course. We are talking about that.
We are talking with robots. We are not writing into a computer.
Exactly.
And there is so the robot is going to detect the voice, and it's going to translate this voice to text.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then here is where the limitations come at present.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Then, because the technology from speech to text still not that good.
Yeah, probably most of the audience has seen these in YouTube videos and so on with this automated translation, which has a lot of mistakes. And in a real environment would be even worse probably because of all the noise of the surroundings
The
and so on.
environment. Yeah.
And yet this step is crucial because what you are saying, if it's translated wrong into text, then this text is what ChatGPT is going to receive as an input.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this text has to be as much accurate as possible, as much similar as possible to what, if not the same, to what the person, the human, is asking to the robot.
Exactly. So that's one of the limitations of using ChatGPT. And what about the other part? So when ChatGPT provides an answer, and then this has to be used by the robot in order to tell you the response. So the conversion from text to speech. So what about this technology?
From text to speech, I mean, that's fine. That's just every computer has that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty solid, that one.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, for me, yes. And
But when I think about, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. No, I'm not. When I'm thinking about using ChatGPT to make more intelligent robots, I think what's the most intelligent robot possible? You know, I mean, in a perfect world would be like, for me it would be, you know, you just have a robot and you can tell it, you know, move backwards for 5 seconds and then, you know, turn your lights on. And it would do everything needed for that to happen, not just give you the ROS node that does that, but actually execute those things.
Yes.
Let's say you just have a blank computer and with ChatGPT. For me, that's the point when you can consider something like, oh, that's an intelligent robot, you know, because it's, you know, it's taking your command, creating that node, then somehow executing it, you know, compiling it, executing it, putting it in the right package, all these things. And that's a huge limitation, I feel like, 'cause it can't do that.
Yeah, at present, no. Actually, Microsoft has released a paper where he's discussing about that limitation. So it's the limitation of connecting the output of ChatGPT into actual real actions in the real world.
Right.
Right. So, and that would be the connection between ChatGPT and robotics. And this is not working at present. I'm going to put a link into the show notes to that article. I mean, it's an article paper.
It's a PDF, yeah.
About that, and then you can check later. But that's the biggest limitation. So far, because we don't have that, this interaction between ChatGPT and the real world, we don't have that. We cannot use ChatGPT for doing things in the real world. Right. We are limited so far to the applications in robotics that Alberto has mentioned, which is about human-robot interaction. So you talk to the robot, and then the robot is able to speak, which that is a big step, because so far it was very, very limited. I was participating at the RoboCup at home competition, where you have to order to the robots to do things in a home environment. And then, well,
it never does it, or what?
Well, it's, there is one section which is about human interaction, where you talk to the robot and the robot has to answer you, and well, that is a complete disaster. That is a bunch of if, else, and that's it. So now I suspect that on the next competition of this year, a lot of robots, they are going to be equipped with ChatGPT in order to pass this.
Yeah, and that translates into the real world into like a smoother conversation, let's say.
Yeah.
Like right now you ask Google things and sometimes doesn't know what you're saying and you can't continue the conversation. Maybe, no, definitely with something like this, that would be an improvement for sure, yes.
Well, we have a very interesting comment here in the chat that says that, where was it? Here, machine coder, that says, interesting to this topic, just yesterday, OpenAI released the public API for Whisper, their speech-to-text engine. Okay.
Speech to text.
Yes,
Oh.
so that's understanding speech
Oh.
and converting into text. That's the missing link that we were talking about.
That's great.
That's great. That, okay. Yeah, so, and let me see here. More comments. Here is that says, Milton Walker says, it will be interesting to see how the current functionality of GPT-3 change when going to GPT-4 and how it affects ChatGPT's coding abilities. Yeah, it is, well, we'll see. We are going to see. No idea about that, because I think that the point on GPT-4 is, if I have correctly understood, is just increasing the number of parameters.
Right, like
So-
training data, and obviously that's what a neural network, how that improves, it's just by giving it more.
No, but also the neural network is bigger.
Right.
So it's a bigger neural network. So, and in my opinion, that's like creating a table with even tinier cells. So each cell has a response to a given situation. So the more cells that you have, you are coding more the options of the universe, let's say, in those cells, and how to respond to those conditions, specific conditions of the universe. I don't know if they are improving in another way rather than making those cells smaller.
Right,
So
right.
having more cells and smaller cells. I don't know if they are working on that. Somebody knows, please let us know.
Maybe the way of finding that cell improves or things like that, you know. But
Yeah, but at the end,
pretty
it's the
quickly,
same.
yeah.
It's the same mechanism.
Right.
Is providing a probability to a possible answer.
Yeah.
Which personally, I don't think that is how we work, but that's a discussion for something else.
That's like
That's another
neuroscience or something.
Well, yeah, and also that's, well, yeah, whatever. So let's not open this this box, because then we can stay here
never
until
leave.
tomorrow. Yeah. And then let me see here about other points that we have to say. Okay. So, yeah, we talk about this option. Oh, yeah, so about the interaction with the real world, then Alexander Rosler, who is this ROS developer that we were discussing some subjects about ChatGPT, then he reported that he's been successful in asking a robotic arm to move the end effector in a given shape. But I don't have more details about that. I was expecting that Alexander could tell us here on the chat, but maybe because of the change of the time that we are broadcasting
that's
today.
very interesting, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what does that mean?
How,
You know,
Yeah. I
It goes
don't
into
have-
the
don't have
what I
full
was saying. Is it executing it? Is it compiling it? Is it doing everything that needs to make the arm move, or is it just creating something that you just like? Then you, as a developer, grab it, put it, and then launch it. So
Okay.
that would be interesting to ask Alexander.
Okay, then I have here a question from Kartikeya Walia that says, do you have any comments about ChatGPT giving different responses to an exact same input prompt for normal conversation and even for writing code?
Oh, by the way, machine coder is
It's Alexander.
Hello, Alexander.
Oh, okay.
Okay, then, machine coder, so he has revealed.
What a plot twist.
Yes, exactly. Unexpected plot twist.
He's been here all along.
All the time. Great. Then, so please explain us more on the chat. Explain to the audience so everybody can watch this. Even the audience that later listen to this podcast can come to the chat and watch your response about this example of shaping the code, because I couldn't get I couldn't understand properly
What it entails.
Yeah.
Moving the robot in a certain shape.
What a plot twist. Okay, then, let's continue with Kartikeya Walia that says, so what about any comments about giving different responses to an exact same input prompt?
Yeah, I guess maybe there are several responses that get the same probability value. I don't know.
Yeah, because you can ask the same thing to ChatGPT, and it'll answer different things. You know, and makes sense when you're
Well, it
talking.
makes perfect sense.
Right, right. When you're writing an essay or things like that. But technically, you don't know if, let's say, you ask it 1,000 times and you get 500 answers. You don't know if like the half of those are correct or what. You know, that's what you gotta introduce like your brain to figure that out.
But I think that he is kind of, I think it feels to me that Kartikeya is a little bit shocked about that. How is that possible? Because it should be the same. Well, for me, it's clear because it's like when we ask to the planner of the arm to produce a trajectory in order to
Right.
move, because they are probabilistic systems, algorithms, and then probabilistic algorithms means that every time that you compute the algorithm, there are some dice that are thrown, and then there is a possibility that the numbers are different. So then it will go from one path to the other, but finding the proper answer.
Right.
So that happens also when you, in probabilistic path planners for armed robots, and you can say, go from here to there, and then one time it's going to do like this, another one is going to do it like that, because if you don't put more constraints, then
Right. It's going to answer the question. It's like driving to the supermarket. You can either take the highway or the back roads. You know, you're still going to get to the highway, so that's a different answer to your question.
yeah.
So
Yeah, and then it depends on many things,
Right.
many things at that moment. Yeah.
Yeah, so Machine Coder has answered to the question, which is clarifying. So he says, basically what I managed to do is to give ChatGPT some hints on how to write a robot program in the TRPL, which is basically a Python program, similar to Python. Yeah. So basically, at the end, what ChatGPT has done is to create the program, I understand, for you. So you give it some hints, create a program that does this and this and this, and then ChatGPT provides you with the code, right? So it's not that you tell ChatGPT, hey, move the robot arm from this place to this place.
So
Totally
yeah, so
different.
yeah, and now, okay. Then it is exactly, so it writes the code that does what you are asking.
And then you have to compile it or
Compile
execute it or...
So okay.
Yeah, so basically these are the limitations that we were talking before. I mean, ChatGPT is able to deal with language. It can be human language, programming language. It can deal with language and provide you language, but it cannot really take action in the real world.
But you can definitely put something on top of that
Yeah.
does the action, you know? So that's like you can build things on top of this. I don't know how, but to execute the program or to like, you know, put it in a cron tab in your computer and it'll execute.
Launch it. Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right, things like that. you
Well, yeah, so the example of Machine Coder, for me, it's also surprising that it's able to understand all those things, because we should know more details. Sorry, Alexander.
Oh, this is
We are squeezing your example because it's super interesting.
This is
it's
pretty
a
good
pity.
though. He
Yeah.
says something like create a TRPL program that moves between 4 waypoints, which are the edges of a square. The center should be defined with a pose. The width of the square should be a parameter.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy that it can do that.
Yes. So that if that answer generates that code, wow, that's amazing. That is.
And that goes hand in hand with, I don't know who else said it, that it matters how much detail you give it. Here you can say that, you know, the square should be a parameter, the width, blah, blah, blah. So as many examples you can, not examples, as much detail you can give it, the better answer it will generate. And that's like the main benefit of it for me.
Okay. Then want to comment on Rahul Harsha that says he answered actually the question to the probabilistic thing that it is. So it says it changes the probability of the next word by taking a softmax of the top K digits. Yes.
All right.
So that's the technical explanation up to a certain level. So we don't need to go more in detail about that, but very good. And then also Rahul Harsha, he was asking a question before. It says, if you plan on starting a company between robotics and LLMs?
I don't know what that is.
LLMs? Can you clarify this? Sorry, to
Logistic management, something like that, could be?
Don't know.
no idea. Please, Rahul, clarify your question, and we'll be able to answer. Then, let's move then another topic. So we have said how we have talked about how ChatGPT can help with to developers to develop better code and faster, and how ChatGPT can help on making more intelligent robots. And then the next one is how to use ChatGPT to make better robotic businesses.
Right.
That's another point, because we are interested on building robotics businesses. So how can we use the different technologies? What is the situation of the different technologies of the robotics market, and technologies that we can use in order to make businesses? That's what we are interested in this podcast. Then, for that, what I did is to ask this question directly to ChatGPT. And of course, it provided a lot of interesting answers, options. For example, let me give you some examples. So you can use ChatGPT to provide technical assistance, right? Yes, that's right. So you're selling some robotics product, and then you need to have an assistant team that is providing customer support, basically. So then you can create this automatic system that answers your clients. Also, to conduct market research for you, develop training materials.
Yeah, just to specify one point, that all this that you are telling is basically answering Raul's question, because LLMs are large language models. So he's asking, what would you do if you are planning to create a company which combines robotics with large language models like ChatGPT? Yeah.
Okay. So that makes sense. Yeah, well, so those are examples. And then he says, assisting in customer service, supporting innovation, developing training materials. Okay, so those answers are...
I'm going to have to disagree with you. You said they were interesting answers.
Yeah, for general businesses.
For me, they're super generic,
Yeah.
and that's what you write about anything.
Yeah.
Any business.
Any business can benefit.
That needs a technical. I mean, you can change the providing technical assistance for philosophical assistance if you're doing
lawyers,
psychology or something.
lawyers, or selling bottle of water.
Right. So it said provide technical assistance, conduct market research, develop training materials, assist with customer service, support innovation.
Yeah.
It's like, then anything can be a good business. No, what I wanted to know with that is like, create a business of a robot. You know, you can make it of this material because it's going to be cheaper to manufacture a large scale. And this robot is going to move around the floor and vacuum it. You know, before Roomba existed.
But wait, that is also one of the general, because you are asking, see, if I have understood your point, is ChatGPT tells you a better way of building the robot. That's it? That's what you mean?
No, it tells you what to do with robots that will generate a business, which means that it will make money.
Okay.
For me, that's the question that you're asking for a better robotics business.
Okay.
Business is about making money.
Yeah. And we are interested on robotic businesses,
Right?
Not on any business. So I'm sorry, so that's a Robotics Insider podcast. So that's why we are here.
Point number 6, try really hard at it. Of course.
Okay. Then say it again. Your point is.
It's generic. It's too generic still, and you can feel like.
And you would expect the robot, the ChatGPT, to tell?
Like an idea of a robot business, like, do this with a robot, solve this problem with a robot.
Yeah, for instance, create a robot which has ChatGPT integrated and which is able to guide blind people through a building, for instance. You go to the robot and you talk to the robot, you say, hey, bring me to the toilets.
Okay.
Right.
And then the robot understands this, and then it is translated to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT translates everything to
Right.
whatever it is,
Okay.
and then the robot takes you to the toilet.
And then
Okay.
it'll
For
say
instance.
like,
Just
As an example,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
it'll say something like, based on the demand of old ladies trying to cross the street, we expect an increase of demand, so it needs to be fulfilled, so that's why it's a good business.
Okay.
That's a different level of specificity.
What you would expect from ChatGPT to help.
No, I don't
that to-
expect from it, but I recognize this answer as being generic. Right?
Yeah. Okay, that's a good exercise for the audience. Maybe you can go to ChatGPT whenever you have time this weekend, for example, and ask him, give me some ideas for a robotics business based on the statistics of robotics usage in the last 10 years, something like that. Maybe, and then, so you can share your comments, your experiences, what the ChatGPT is saying in the comments of the video, maybe, and then we can also see if ChatGPT is ready or not. But when I was asking this question, so this for me, that's another plot twist, because I wasn't thinking about this, about ChatGPT helping us to decide a good business. That's a very good point. Right. I was not expecting. What I was thinking is how ChatGPT is enabling some robotics business to exist that couldn't exist before. That was my main point. But I like it very much, this twist, because it's also super interesting. So ChatGPT, tell us, what's the next big business? Probably this, if you ask this question, it's going to be cut it from the OpenAI directly, so they have a guy there monitoring and say, "Oh no, that's for us."
We'll keep that answer.
We'll keep that, exactly. So just give to them the garbage business, But we'll see. So let us know on the comments if you try this to ask this to ChatGPT. We are going to do it.
I'm going to do it.
Then coming back to the point is about so how can ChatGPT enable other businesses that were not possible? For example, I'm going to throw the first one example. So have a waitress robot, a real waitress robot. I mean, a robot that comes to your table and you can order the things and you can ask him, so what's the dish for today? Yeah, but I like it, my dish a little bit raw.
What's your favorite dish?
Yeah, so I like it in this way. Or do you have omelets? Then today, no, we don't have omelets because it's only on Fridays. I don't know. So that real interaction with a waitress is not only taking notes, but also needs to interact.
To the specific needs of the client.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
That's definitely possible,
Yeah. Well, there is a drawback of that is because ChatGPT has been trained to only until 2022, November 2020, or something before.
November 22 is the release date.
Release date, yeah. So some months before. Then maybe it doesn't know about your current situation of today of your restaurant. So how can we solve this?
Yeah, so for that, you need to provide some feedback to ChatGPT. ChatGPT is able to get feedback and take it into account
for the next answer. Oh.
Yeah. So you can tell him, hey, ChatGPT, I don't know, in the waitress case, you can tell him, hey, today I am already, all the tables are full, so nobody else can book a table.
Yeah.
And then he knows that.
Really?
And if somebody comes after that and asks for a table, then he's going to be able to say, hey, no tables are available today. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
So you can train it.
Provide new information.
Provide new information,
It's going
yeah.
to be taken into account.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I wanted to state this to the audience. So there are some experts on the audience, and they know everything. But sometimes other people they don't know, and that's why they are here, in order to learn from the basics to more advanced situations. Okay, and so Here we have an interesting answer from Milton Walker the third that says, here's how ChatGPT answer how it will affect robotics. As an AI language model, I can help robotics in a few different ways. Natural language processing, robotics engineers can use natural language processing to improve the way robots interact with humans. So that's the example of the waitress and any other similar business, like for example in the museums. You know the typical robot. I was working before on a company that we built robots, humanoid robots for museums, and okay, yeah, so it was nice because it was new, so many years ago. There was not Boston Dynamics, and it was, yeah, but the experience was terrible for the people. You know, for the people because it was like a stick with a speaker at the end.
Right.
At the end of the day was this. But now, if you incorporate ChatGPT into this, you can make it interactive because it can answer your own questions.
Right.
So it's a real tour guide. It's a real one.
So it's an improvement over the, they give you these things in museums that you pass over the QR thing and it tells you something. You know, that's an actual improvement that it could improve your experience in the museum is because, it answers the questions you're interested in. That maybe they're not in the museum, but it can generate the answer.
Exactly. So that would be into the first answer that ChatGPT itself gave to Milton. And then it says machine learning. Machine learning is essential to robotics, and my expertise in this area can help. Okay, that's like saying nothing also. So it's too generic. Cognitive computing, again, so nothing. Collaborative robotics, okay, so no real answer.
Yeah, because collaborative robotics already exists.
Yeah, so it can improve for sure, I guess, but yeah, that's not, yeah.
How would it improve with ChatGPT?
Yeah, because it should be able to improve the human-robot.
Oh yeah, because you're asking it to do things and things. Yeah, that's true.
So what I see now is that ChatGPT can only improve in terms of human-robot interaction tasks. So if you want to build a robotic business based on this, maybe it's useful. For example, in the warehouses. So there are a lot of robots at the warehouses, and there has been a big effort into simplifying the interaction between the operators that are moving around and those warehouse robots. And then the companies that build those warehouse robots, they have built also the simple interfaces with very simple touch screens. And for example, you can listen to one of the ROS developers podcasts where I interview Reputa Robotics, which is a company that delivers ROS-based robots for warehouses, and how much the effort they put into making it so simple for the operators, because those robots, they have to interact with humans.
Right.
And those are not non-trained humans. So now what I suspect that maybe those companies, they can eliminate those screens and just inject ChatGPT listening to the people and then directly interact in the voice in a more human interface. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, because as you're touching into the touchscreen, you're thinking what you want to do. You can just say it, and ChatGPT would then translate it and do it. Yeah.
Okay, then Ruben Alves. Hello, Ruben. Nice to see you around here.
Hi, Ruben.
He says that the Da Vinci model, which is the most advanced one of ChatGPT, only knows things prior to June of 2021.
Oh, I thought it was. So if something else comes out, some huge thing, it won't know about it until, I guess Da Vinci is number 2 comes out.
Yeah.
Ah.
Probably it doesn't know about itself.
Again, that goes really into a meta discussion.
Probably, I don't know. Okay, great. So thank you for posting the link to the podcast episode. And then let me see. So some interaction here, other interesting questions. Okay, here there is a comment that I don't agree at all. That is from Will Rojas that says, ChatGPT explained how to use ROS better than all the docs and videos did. I don't agree. Have you checked the videos and the courses of the construct? So
I bet you haven't.
I bet exactly. That's probably the reason. That reason. Okay. So let me see here if we have something. So we have some a lot of stuff here on the chat, and sometimes it's difficult to keep with everything. Okay, Shyam is asking if we can have a class on how to use ChatGPT with us.
I read those.
With
that
Alberto.
one. Yeah, I think that would be really interesting. Yeah. So for sure, yeah, I'm going to take note and prepare it for the following open classes. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you for the suggestions, Shyam.
Yeah, Blueberry. Blueberry. I'm sorry. Shyam Ganatra talks about why not use just Alexa or Google Assistant for human robot interaction, and I don't know. For me, the simple answer is: can you have a conversation with Alexa? Not really. You're just like telling it things like, but do this, do that. Hey, where's the nearest blah?
Yeah.
So the conversational part, the human interaction is what's lacking.
Yes, completely.
So it's human interaction. And you're supposed to interact with it like a human would. So I think that's the difference that we're trying to identify here.
Yeah, Blueberry is answering the same way, and also Machine Coder
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
is answering this. Okay, so we are about to finish this. First, before finishing, I would like to talk about the limitations of ChatGPT, which, one of those is that we have talked that ChatGPT doesn't know anything prior to its release date. Right? What other limitations, Alberto?
No, after its release date.
Doesn't know. Yeah.
So exactly. After its release date, it doesn't know. So as Ruben was mentioning, here is in June 2021.
Yeah, so another limitation, for instance, is that the one that we discussed at the very beginning, that it only allows to receive a text as input, not voice, for instance. That's a limitation in the sense of integrating ChatGPT into robots,
Okay.
into collaborative robots. Yeah.
Okay. Another limitation?
We also talked about that ROS launch, name of package, name of file example that will, base its answer in the name of package or the name of file, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it will do that. That's definitely a drawback.
Yeah, I would say that the limitation there is that it is inventing things, and he's saying as if it is real. So it's not saying, "Oh, I don't know." Maybe it does means that, but I'm not sure because you didn't provide me with the file or something. So it just invents and says, for me, it's like this guy that is, with this friend that we all have, that he knows everything. So whenever you ask a question, he knows the answer. And if he doesn't know, he never recognizes, he doesn't know the answer, and he just invents.
He'll just BS you.
Yeah. Yes. So that's a limitation. You have to be careful about this. And in general, what I have seen as the experience of many people that have used it, is that writing code, it's very good for simple things, but it's not very good for complex stuff.
Imagine libraries, like write a code with libraries and all that it's separated right, that you need to, object-oriented programming, all these things that might not, I haven't tried it, but I don't think it will give you 70 files.
Okay, so those are some of the limitations. So be careful if you plan to use ChatGPT.
Yeah, I read a comment from a user which was very interesting.
Which one?
It was very brief, but very, very powerful.
To the point.
Let me see if I find it. It was something related to this. It was at the beginning. It's not a question. It's just a statement. It's the statement. Let me see if I find it.
The statement of the night.
Okay. Then
Here, I have it.
Okay.
It's from Blueberry.
Blueberry.
He said, I think ChatGPT has infinite possibilities and clear limits.
Oh, there you go.
Very nice.
Wow.
Nice
Awesome.
statement, Blueberry.
Yeah.
And username. Really nice.
Yes. And then Stephen Carter, he says, back on the AI certificate of conformance for safety, he says, clearly AI-generated code like humans could impact the functional safety of a system. So QA is needed, and life cycle management of OpenAI or GitHub, who updates bugs, etc. Okay, yeah, so if I have understood correctly, your comment, you mean that AI code, generated code, so still needs to go through the processes of QA and testing in order to be able to certificate. But what I meant before about AI certificate of conformance is not about generating code that doesn't work properly, that has bugs in the inside. What was meant is that maybe ChatGPT can generate an answer to a question of your client, which is wrong, as we have mentioned, because sometimes he just invents. And then the consequences of this answer, then it depends on the business. If you are in a, I don't know, in a museum, and then he invents, oh yeah, that's the conqueror of the 20th century that did that, and then it's invented, so who cares? Okay? But if it's something from a medical advice, providing medical advice or something like that, then it could be very dangerous, because if it invents, then it can put the life of this person in danger. So that's the one. And I'm not talking about saying stupid things like with different religions, so offense, or different sexualities, or different points of view that is offending the people. So that also can get you into trouble.
Right.
That's the point.
And in terms of limits, I think we pretty much covered it.
Okay, very good. Then I think that we are going to close here, because we've been for more than an hour already. Just one final thing that here says, can ChatGPT close the business of the construct?
No way. No way. No chance.
No chance. No chance.
It's going to make it stronger.
Yes,
Stronger,
exactly.
if anything, yeah.
We actually have integrated into the construct courses. So as I mentioned, so while you are creating your projects, or while you are doing the lessons in different, so you can use ChatGPT inside the construct, and
it's great.
It's great. It's going to improve your learning and make you learn even faster. You always need a guidance for this.
Yeah, you just click a button and it does a better code, looks at bugs, things like that. I was gonna say, if I could mention it, but yes, check it out, guys. It's not going to close the construct. It's going to open it even more.
Very good, very good. So I think that we can finish here. We'll put some links on the show notes here, so where you can find the whole script of this episode and links to some other resources, interesting resources that we have mentioned. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending this second episode of the Robotics Insider podcast, and see you on the next episode, where we are going to be talking about the app stores for robotics.
Oh.
Sounds interesting, yeah?
Nice.
Yes.
I wouldn't miss it.
Yeah. Yes, very
Me
good.
neither.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next